All right, cool. My name is Jenks, head of DevRel at Boundless Labs. I think Boundless was talked about whole day. I won't spend much time introducing, but very shortly we're building a new product for Ethereum developers to use Bitcoin directly from Ethereum smart contract, their favorite thing. Our panel here represents the best in the infrastructure business called Bitcoin ecosystem, and also in Ethereum world. From zero-knowledge proof network to institutional validator operations, from RPC services to cross-chain verification. These are not only Bitcoin builders, they have been successful in Ethereum infrastructure already, and now they're bringing those hard-earned lessons to Bitcoin. So, let's hear from them. Leland is joining us late, by the way. Let's start with Rami.
Hello everyone, I'm Rami. I'm a protocol engineer at Boundless. At Boundless, we do essentially a decentralized ZK proving marketplace that allows anyone to use their GPU power or their proving power to service any incoming proof requests. Fully on-chain, fully open source, believe the permission is trustless.
Heard a lot about Trustless today, so I respect that. My name is Firoz. I'm here with Ankr. Ankr is an infrastructure provider. We've been around since about 2017. We run bare metal nodes throughout the world. We have our own private fiber network. We support close to 100 mainnet chains. We're getting there very quickly. And like Jenks said, yeah, we've been in the Ethereum, EVM, and non-EVM, Bitcoin included, ecosystem for a long, long time. And yeah, really excited to be here on the panel today.
Hi guys, my name is Alex. I'm CEO of BitVM. We are one of the largest staking and restaking operator in the world.
Lovely. Let's set the scene here. We're at DevConnect, right? Argentina. A room full of builders, all 5 of you here. Who has experienced the full cycle? So the DeFi summer explosion, the smart contract exploit, the DAO hack, the L2 scaling war and fragmented liquidity, infrastructure centralization, all these problems, right? And MEV extraction.
You don't have to give all the PTSD at one time.
Yeah.
Slow down a little bit, yeah.
I want to hit it hard.
Here.
The point that I'm making is Bitcoin going to repeat the whole thing? Is Bitcoin going to experience all this? Or everyone here is going to prevent that from happening? So, question number 1, for Alex and for Rose. You've been deeply involved in the Ethereum infrastructure and all the centralization problem with Lido. 30% staking is concentrated with Lido, with only a few dominant players there. Is Bitcoin staking also like this, and infrastructure provision?
I would say it's still very, very early, especially in the Bitcoin DeFi space. One thing, I've been using this a lot in conversations lately, is the examples from Cloudflare just 2 days ago going down. And, you know, over 80% of the industry, a lot of Web 2 as well as Web 3 uses Cloudflare for node balancing. And so when you have, Ethereum, we learned this lesson a long time ago. I got in trading 2019, 2020. I was there for the Infura memes every time Infura went down. And I was really the only provider that Ethereum had. So it was a hard job to do, no shade to Infura, but it was very difficult, especially when you're the only one. And most of your infrastructure relies on cloud because that's the most efficient way to do it. So, over time, we've learned that was actually one of the biggest things that we've done at Ankr is over the years, we've actually cut down all cloud nodes. We have full bare metal. We actually lay our own private fiber now. So we have our own private internet. We don't even use public internet rails. And then node balancers was like the latest upgrade we actually just did last year. So perfect timing. When you see something like Cloudflare go down, we have a private node balancer that, based on your geographical diversity, what you're doing, where you are, it'll route your nodes to the right place. Or if something goes down, power goes down in a data center, we can always route you to a different node cluster. So we make sure we are as resilient as possible. And, we try to be a little bit different from as many of the other infrastructure providers as possible, because one of the most important things that I've seen from an even non-engineering perspective is redundancy of infrastructure. And it's something that's really helped Ethereum and a lot of other EVM and non-EVM ecosystems really live for as long as they have. Because when you rely on, even in Bitcoin, we have on the consensus side, you got nodes all over the world and a bunch of individuals running them. So we're fine on that side. But when you start building more user applications that need indexers, that need node balancers, that need all of these different things and data storage, that does not work with the nodes that are run for Bitcoin consensus, most people start, again, trusting centralized systems, centralized cloud providers, centralized node balancers. And so we are kind of set up for the same problem again. And so that's kind of where I think us and a lot of other infra providers are coming in to really support Bitcoin DeFi. We work closely with Babylon BOV and a bunch of other Bitcoin aligned chains to make sure that we're providing as resilient of infrastructure as possible so that we don't run into the same issue in Bitcoin DeFi that Ethereum DeFi had to learn from over the years. We've learned those lessons and we'd love to apply them early in Bitcoin DeFi cycle as opposed to after it causes problems.
So within your offering, the redundancy is baked in and decentralization is considered there for handover, because already a lot of Web3 projects still are using centralized cloud services, no providers and all that. So you intend to become the failover when something happens, yeah.
That's generally what I say, yeah. A rising tide raises all ships. There's no shade to any of our competitors, but a lot of the infrastructure space does still rely on cloud servers, whether it's AWS or Google Cloud. And so it's really tough to see, when one goes down, a bunch of people in Web3 that are, holding millions, if not billions of dollars. If their infrastructure goes down off of one data center outage or, one Cloudflare outage, that's a big problem. And so I'm not even on sales, but that's basically, I've been sounding like a salesperson, just saying, hey, if we're not your number one infra provider, we should at least be number two so that you have the redundancy with a completely different tech stack and hardware stack than the majority of the industry. And I think that's very, very crucial, not because I work for the company, but because it just logically makes sense that you want to have redundancy with a different tech stack than what your initial one is.
Great. Yeah. Alex, what's your take on this?
Yeah, first, I think that's a little bit wrong statement about the LiDAR centralization, because LiDAR doesn't run by our own nodes, and because I have a bunch of validators. I think maybe for specialization, it's better to talk about the Coinbase, for example, and their market share, because we run just we act as an independent validator for the whole bunch of if inside the Coinbase. And if you speak about the LiDAR, it's a bit an unfair take from my point of view. But if we speak about DeFi based on Bitcoin and some mistakes, I think it's too early to say that DeFi based on Bitcoin exists. Because if you compare, if you speak about fair comparison between DeFi in Solana or DeFi in Ethereum and current DeFi settlement based on Bitcoin, I think we're still trying to find the product market fit here. How should we settle it? What should be the architecture? We, the Ankr Fee as infrastructure provider, we are happy to support, new ideas, new projects, new products. We will try to bring the DeFi or some different additional value for Bitcoin because we really love the Bitcoin. But at the same time, it's a little bit early to say, should we, do we repeat some mistakes, previous, past mistakes or
Worklands or not, right? Because right now we just have one terabyte to work with using BitVM. Of course, hopefully soon we also get BitVM 2, which makes the interactions fewer in the house model, much smaller to deploy and use and all of that. But the stack is mainly going to be optimistic based on Bitcoin. So there's always going to be this challenge period that's present at the verification layer. It's not going to be, that might not be there out of period because you can immediately verify these proofs on there. And that is the basis for building all of these rollups or rollup-like systems on Bitcoin. So, yeah.
Is the challenge period usually in days or weeks or hours? What's the performance like?
It is
for our systems.
It's a different consideration for Bitcoin because the censorship resistance there is a different model. On Ethereum, you have these proof of stake nodes that could just withhold the attestations and do that kind of behavior. In both cases, you would need to have a significant portion of the nodes either following what you say for bribery or these kind of attacks, or you actually withdraw the chain. But in Bitcoin, it is probably less susceptible than in Ethereum, or you have a different kind of attack, like through mechanisms like the proposer builder model. You can effectively just censor a transaction without controlling a majority of the stake just by paying for it to be excluded. So you ask me, I'd say 1 day is fine of Bitcoin. We even like plan to use Bitcoin as a backup system for posting challenges. I haven't mentioned this, but at Boundless we also have a product called Kailua that the build on Bitcoin rollup is using to ensure that no fraud happens on the system. And either you submit, right now you can only submit challenges against any fraud on Ethereum, but the long-term plan is to also open up Bitcoin as an avenue for submitting these challenges to leverage also its economic security.
So, participating as challengers, is that an infrastructure for challengers, or you're actually participating in different projects as challengers?
I mean, from the BitVM side, no, there's not a participation, but from the Kailua side, we provide a standard agent that you can run that would issue these challenges when necessary.
So if someone wants to run that business, you can provide solutions for that.
Yeah, of course. And also like redundancy and stability of infrastructure also plays a huge role in this, because let's say you just want this challenge period to be very short. You're not going to have that challenge period rely on one computer somewhere beat online, and that could go offline for any reason. At random times when people are asleep, you probably want a healthy, distributed set of nodes running that would be ready to issue these challenges. Certain size.
Yeah. We'll talk after the battle.
Nice. What's that?
We'll talk after the battle.
Actually, on that, I have a follow-up question. Like, how distributed is the distributed? What's the metrics for decentralization, right? For nodes, infrastructure, could be anything. Institutional customer might be after that as well. We want to explore that.
I was going to say, we do more distributed infrastructure as opposed to decentralized infrastructure. So we're in over 35 data centers in 6 continents. So we're very widely geographically distributed. But yeah, definitely throw it over to Alex. I believe you guys work with decentralized validators.
Yeah, the same. I mean, because I'm multi-clients, the diversification between different clients, between different data center, between different location. Yes, 100%. That's one of the power. Also about some software. Also some we try to use a different set of software to support our validators in different networks. But I think in general it's a very, very tough question, because we discussed this issue during some several panels ago. How can we measure and real measure centralization in some networks? Because some different layers, they have their own understanding what is this vision is for this specific layer. Sorry, guys. I have some hard stop if that time.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, it is a tough conversation. We actually approached allowing individual node operators to join our ecosystem and try to decentralize our node infrastructure a little bit more. But then to be able to test for whether it's security, compute power optimization and uptime, like all of the things that we have to test for before we can trust someone to join our node clusters or our ecosystem, the threshold is very, very, very high. And so it ended up being something that was kind of a non-starter for us. So we stick to being as distributed, geographically distributed, and as resilient as possible, which helps with performance, it helps with latency, it helps with security. But unfortunately, it's not quite decentralized. I'm a stickler for that word. I hate when people use it incorrectly. And so we're not decentralized, but we do try to, provide as much benefit from the technological perspective of being distributed as possible. And yeah, we're always happy to help individual node runners if they need support from our engineering expertise. That we're always in the process of trying to make things more decentralized, even if it's just contributing as a team in that sense.
Sorry, guys. Unfortunately, I have to go.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, because I have a different.
Where are you going to next, Alex?
It's some different meeting here.
Okay. Party.
Sorry, guys.
No problem. Yeah.
Thank you, Alex.
Right.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to see you again and to have this conversation.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
You see that Bitcoin wallet over there? Grab one, please. It's got Valma logo on it.
Okay.
Yeah. Help yourself. Thanks. We'll talk about, because this summit is called Native BTC-Fi Summit, right? We'll talk about like whether people actually care about being native and self-custodial. In the early days, I think people don't care about it, and then Babon is kind of one of the proofs that people want self-custodial staking. We're trying to prove that people care about self-custodial vaults or trustless vaults, we call it. Does that matter to a lot of people these days? What do you think? What state are we at right now?
That's a great question. Honestly, I don't know. I feel like a lot of OG Bitcoiners, especially like Bitcoin maxis, are still quiet. Like, you don't necessarily know who they are or what they value or what they want. You just know their Bitcoin doesn't move much. And so, yeah, and seeing the success of Babylon, very quickly filled like first cap, second cap. Like, I think David said 56,000 Bitcoin is on Babylon, is locked.
It's still there, yeah.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, it shows
Very low APY. Yeah.
Yeah, but it shows that there are people that have a ton of Bitcoin that were waiting for somewhere that they trust more than just their own self-custody wallet, or equal to their self-custody wallet, where maybe they can put it to some good use. But until they had that option, 56,000 Bitcoin was just sitting in a wallet not being used, for anything. So I think the more that grows, like, that's a great proof of concept. It's a great first step. And the more things that are built with trustlessness within the Bitcoin ecosystem, I think it'll open up a lot of the people that we haven't been hearing from. At least I hope so. But yeah, to be honest, it's a really hard question to answer because I don't know who those people are. I've in my career in crypto, I've been trying to figure out how to get Bitcoiners to use their Bitcoin for something, and it's very, very difficult to get an answer outside of, I just like the security of Bitcoin. I like the trustlessness, and it's really hard to recreate that anywhere outside of just native Bitcoin on Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think also one other thing is that now we have institutions in the game, right? They all want to eliminate as much counterparty risk as they can, but they also have some legal obligations that they have to follow. So they could be, willing to not have their own private keys, have some sort of custodian that does use more mechanisms to eliminate the risk that comes from them being hacked and not having to worry about the custodian being liquid, but instead, the code being right. So
you think the institution customers will care more about this? Because technically they're not able to move funds around.
Yep. It definitely makes sense for them. It just makes it safer for everyone, essentially.
Cool.
It's rough running a panel with two panelists.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Which of these apply to you?
Well, I just want to move on to the last question and say, well, what kind of advice do you have for builders, right? For builders building on Bitcoin, Ethereum, maybe Ethereum folks that got very intrigued about building on Bitcoin. You must have met a lot of them. What's the advice?
Yeah, I think the advice is that Bob is, the practical chain to do things right now. If you want to immediately go in with your Ethereum experience and interact with the Bitcoin environment, it certainly has a interesting design that does give you security guarantees, probably for example, the Babylon Bridge and all of these things. So, and it is, as someone with a bit more visibility into their roadmap and what they're building, they are moving towards eliminating as much risk as possible using, as many trustless components as they can. I would advise getting started there because no one really knows what the maybe Bitcoin only networks that are upcoming will really look like, right? It does look like they're going to be EVM based, but do they give you the same kind of exposure? I am shilling Bob here, but I don't worry it, but I like it. So yeah, I guess start with that.
EDM based, should we call it L2? Does Bob likes to be called L2?
Yeah. Or is this technically a roll up on Ethereum?
Bitcoin L2. Start from there, and then try to understand what occurs on the Bitcoin side. Cool.
I mean, honestly, ditto. I'm not an engineer, so I can't really give technical advice on people that want to build on Bitcoin. But the EVM experience has been super smooth and easy in the way that Bob decided to build, an EVM L2 for Bitcoin. Just makes sense, and it makes it a lot easier for builders that have experience in other ecosystems to now bring their skill sets over to a Bitcoin aligned ecosystem. At least that's the term I use. But there's going to be, like Rami said, there's going to be other opportunities. There's going to be other chains that are going to pop up over the next couple of years that try to capture the Bitcoin space with the composability of EVM. But Bob's been around for a while and they've done a great job so far. So I would say that's a great place to start. Again, even though I don't work for them either, but I like them. I like the branding, I like the team, and the tech is good. And so, yeah, I would say that's a great place to start.
Great, yeah. The last thing, I want to make it a little bit more fun. Ethereum DeFi had a lot of problems. What do you think BTC-Fi is going to have next year? Have a guess of the biggest issue in BTC-Fi that's going to go the headline.
Dude, I don't know. I honestly, I can't put anything negative for Bitcoin out in the universe. I'm a little superstitious.
You're so positive with this whole panel. I want to turn it around.
I mean, I think Bitcoin, at least the Bitcoin ecosystem in general, has been around for so long for a reason, because it's focused on security first. And so, I'm hoping that we don't see the same type of like smart contract hacks and like the bridge hacks that we've seen on EVM over the years. I'm really hoping we don't see anything major like that on Bitcoin. But like I said earlier on the panel, we, as an industry, we like to learn from our mistakes. And we've made so many of those mistakes in the growth of not just ETH, but all of the other ecosystems that have come after it. That I really hope we can apply those lessons to building out Bitcoin DeFi infrastructure, and keep it as resilient as we've gotten ETH to become at this point.
I am kind of concerned.
You had to take that long data, yeah.
I do like.
I'm imagining a really catastrophic.
It is going to be somewhat of a newer paradigm, or like as more possibilities are unlocked in the Bitcoin space, right? We're going to see more weird systems being built compared to what was previously available, or it will
Some kind of hack.
It will.
It's its own use system, right?
Of course, something's going to get hacked. I'm not gonna. Not as superstitious. It will, what can happen will happen.
I mean, a conversation I had recently, I work with a couple of different like quantum resistant protocols. I don't know why I'm doing this. They're actually quantum resistant. But I think the conversation was based around like an article that Google came out with saying we have about 10 years before quantum computing breaks current levels of encryption. And we all know, Bitcoin, ETH, all blockchains are secured with encryption. And so if we don't start preparing for post-quantum, landscape in general, security-wise, I mean, that could lead to very, very catastrophic stuff. Like, I don't even have to say what it could lead to. Like, it's an entire avalanche. And that would be the worst. So I think that's a really critical piece to focus on right now, is trying to figure out how to secure yourself for the coming quantum computing age, because it's going to break our encryption, and that's what we rely on to secure trillions of dollars. So I don't want to guess what might happen, but I'm hoping that we can secure Bitcoin and Bitcoin related protocols before we get to that point.
Whatever upgrade their cryptography last will get massively hacked.
Good luck.
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
It's going to be a tough thing to pull off, honestly. Like, people fight so much over a single opcode. Good luck.
Standardizing it, yes.
Okay, yeah.
It'll take some time, but we'll get there.
Well, if that happens during 2026, we'll get you guys to come back and talk about it again. How about that? In the meantime, thank you very much for coming to this event, joining the panel. All this is three of us.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Babylon. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you, Ron.